The title today is Money, Jobs, and True Wealth During the Recession. We're going to look at the issues from a practical point of view, philosophical and psychological, political and historical, spiritual. We're going to go over power thoughts to help us deal with that. But let's talk about what we're dealing with. We're dealing with fear. People are afraid. They're afraid if they lose their job, how are they going to pay their rent, their mortgages? So they're afraid of then going into the unknown. There's a fear that they won't be able to eat or feed their children. A fear that if they lose their health insurance and a catastrophe happens, how are they going to handle that? Or it could be somebody right now has diabetes or cancer in the family and requires ongoing treatment. If they lose the insurance, what's going to happen to their loved one? So there's a fear of homelessness. There's even a fear of death, because without the health insurance, people feel, well, gee, how are we won't be able to cope. There's also a fear of some kind of shame of not being able to handle their own affairs and business to deal with things. Now, there is a real threat. There are people losing jobs, no question about it. A lot of the threat has to do with our own internal states, our own demons, so to speak. Mostly, there's an overreaction. And we're going to find out very positive tools, very constructive tools at a practical level for how to deal with what's happening in society during economic hard times, and this time during the recession, and tools how to deal with our own psyches during these times. First, we'll deal with the practical approach, getting a job. We're going to deal with getting a job, keeping a job, advancing, and owning your own business. We're going to talk about that first from the practical point of view. Getting a job, of course, you have your resume, or if you don't have a resume and you're talking to somebody, it's always good to add something that almost nobody ever says. That is, I'm reliable and I'm loyal. That'll give you the edge. Your own personal characteristics of integrity that you truly have, then it's good to make that known in your application procedure, whether it's a resume or filling in an application. Another possible approach that most people would never think of is offer to work for free for a week. So I'm so interested in what you do, I'd be willing to just work free for a week, and if you don't like what I do, we just part, there's no problem. If you do like it, perhaps you'd consider hiring me. Keeping in mind, even if there is no job opening, when an employer finds somebody who really has something to offer, they will create a job. Say, gee, I don't want to lose this person. This person will be really valuable. An offshoot of that is to say, I'm going to work for 2 to 4 weeks for you, and I don't want you to pay me anything. I'm not asking for a salary. I just would like a percentage of the profits that I increase for you. So if I increase your profits a certain percentage, then I'd like a piece of that. So if I don't bring in more money, then you don't have to pay me anything. That's an offer it's hard to refuse. Or you can also take on a free apprenticeship. Say, look, I'm so interested in what you do, I'm willing to work free. And that's like getting free tuition. Let's say you want to learn the health food industry. There's no better example than to work at a health food place. You learn where the resources are, the ins and outs of the business. There's no substitute for the education of being on site, learning while working, whether you're paying minimally or even free if you can afford to do that. But that's the best way, is to have some on-the-job experience. Now, keeping a job, many people who have a job are afraid of losing it because we're seeing hundreds of thousands of jobs being lost. One good way is to become indispensable, assume more responsibilities. So that your supervisors, the manager say, this person's indispensable. Look at the attitude, look at the responsibilities they're handling. We have to have this person. It's also good if you're the first in, the last to leave. That's another way. Say, I'm so dedicated, so I'm here first. Lastly, maybe they'll even have you close up the place or open it in the morning. But you're the first there, the last to leave. These are just practical hints. Of course, the attitude is extremely important. The attitude of wanting to serve your boss, wanting to serve the company, being a well-wisher of the company, as opposed to feeling, well, I'm being exploited, being taken advantage of, and so forth. Say, well, I'm lucky to have this job. It's gold. I want to really serve to the maximum that I can do.